Hi, I'm George Sage, and today we're going to show you how to pull ahead when the engine is in the car. Previously, we showed you how to pull ahead with the engine out of the car, but there's some slight differences. First of all, the engine is back against the firewall, so we can't really get at these rear studs. So anyway, we'll show you how to take the plate that we used before, modify it, cut it off a little bit here. You'll actually use fewer studs. You're pushing down on fewer studs, but hopefully that you'll still be able to get it off. So previously we had a plate, and it can be just about any material. We used a steel plate, 1/4 inch thick. And what you want to do, you can use 3/4 inch plywood. You could even use a piece of, say, a 2x12. Depends on how much strength it takes to get the head off. Even this, in certain cases, you could bend it. But in most cases, it would be okay. Now, what you do, you take a piece of, like I say, a piece of steel, piece of plywood, whatever, and you lay a head. Just lay a head on here. Mark all the holes, and mark the spark plug holes. Then drill them out. Now you want all the stud holes to be a loose 7/16. You want to be 7/16, but you want to be able to slide that bolt down through there. The holes for the spark plugs are going to be 1/2 inch. Now, it's possible you could drill all of them 1/2 inch. They'd be a little looser and maybe a little harder to position it on the head. So this is for taking the head off of an engine that's out of the car. But when the engine is in the car, we can't get at all the studs. So we're gonna cut the plate down a little bit, just above the number 5, and so you're going to position it over the head like this. Now for the spark plug holes, what we've done, we've taken basically a 3X, or I believe a C4 is the same, but you can take the spark plug apart, pull out this top nut out here, pull out the ceramic, and it's just the right size. You can tap that to 1/2 inch. So we tap that to 1/2-13. We take a piece of all thread, and the reason it's that length is because when you buy a piece of all thread like this, you get 3 feet. You need 4 of them, so you've got 9 inches a piece. They don't have to be that long, but that's handy. So now we've threaded the base piece. We screw the all thread in just till it's flush on the end here. Put a nut on there. That's just to keep it from moving on this end. This end's not gonna move. Then we're going to put these all 4 of these in the spark plug holes. Okay, just to go through it, when you torque the head down, you torque it down in a certain sequence. The sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, then 13, and 14. So when we refer to the studs, we're going to refer to them with those numbers. And that's just a sequence that you tighten the head down with. Yeah. Okay, now I've got all 4 of these 1/2-inch rods in, lined up. So we're going to put this, we want to be able to put this plate right over the top of those. So that's how it's going to fit. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put some other bolts in these other holes that fit down on, so that these will fit down on top of the stud. So we're going to use a carriage bolt. The reason we use a carriage bolt, first of all, you can get them at any hardware store, and they're threaded the whole length. A lot of bolts that you buy are only threaded part way, but carriage bolts come all threaded, all the complete length. The other thing is they have a little square underneath the head. That's going to allow us, if we need to turn these, we can put a wrench on those and be able to turn them. We're going to put this down through, and we're going to start with the 3 on this plate. There's 3 in the middle. Now we're going to put a nut on here, and this is how you set how high you're going to lift that head. You're going to have to lift it, in some cases, the full length of the stud. So if you have a stud and you're going to push down on it, you push down on the stud, this is going to go down, and we have to lift that head all the way up beyond it. So we want to be up at least the length of a stud up here. For convenience, it may be easier if we run that all the way up. That helps hold it and align it. So to start with, now we have a stud, and if we look at it from this side, that's 7, 1, and 8. So we have those 3 studs in, and we're going to slip this down over. Now, one concern that could happen when you're taking the nuts off the head, sometimes the studs will come out with the head still on. We need that stud in there. It doesn't have to be in very far. We need the stud because we're going to push down on that stud. Now, to line up and keep things lined up, we're going to use a little piece of tubing that just fits over these, and that will keep us lined up over the end of those studs. Okay, so now we're going to see if they don't fall off. We're going to slip this. Oops, I got it backwards. We're going to slip this over and right down on there. And if you can see, we're going to be right on top of that stud, and we put that tube down. And see, we put that tubing down over the end. So, and this one. Okay, now, this is one of the studs that we had to replace, so it's not in as far. So what we're going to have to do is back this nut off. I just put it on finger tight. We're going to have to back that nut off so that we can raise that bolt up. and we tighten that nut back up so that now we're pushing down even, and the plate is more or less level with the head. So now we've got it positioned. At this point, we're going to put on a couple of half-inch washers just so that the nuts will slip easier as we tighten down on them. Okay, we're going to pull these nuts down so that they're just flush. Okay, now you can see that if you tighten these nuts, it's going to push down on this plate, but in order to push down on the plate, these bolts are sticking right down on top of the stud, so they're not going to move, so the head has to come up. These will basically stay fixed on the head, but then the head has to come straight up. Right now we could actually start tightening these, and if the head came loose, we wouldn't have to put the rest of the bolts in. For a hard to remove head, we're going to put in all the bolts until we've got 3 on this side and 4 over here, plus the 3 down the middle. Okay, now we have the plate on. We have these 4 in our spark plug holes with the nuts down on top with 2 washers under them so they'll slip. We have these other 7/16 bolts set up. These 3 down the middle, turns out these are a little shorter, so we had to readjust the height of, so they all have to come out with the nut at the same height. So we want the plate to be more or less level to the head. So these were a little shorter, so we back off the nut on these, so the position of the nut then is the same. So we're going to adjust all these nuts on the back side so that the plate is level. So now we're going to take a 3/4 inch and we're going to use a ratchet wrench. We could use a deep socket, but these are too long. So if these were shorter, we could use a deep socket. So that might be a reason to make them less than 9 inches. So now we're going to just start tightening up. We're just pulling that head up. And of course, these all, as you pull it up, the others come loose. So we're going to pull up fairly even. Okay, these are loosening up, so we'll so if you look right down in here now, you'll see it starting to separate. So the head is coming up. So you want to kind of feel around, kind of keep it coming up straight. Okay, it just let loose a little bit. So as you can see, we're just pulling that head right up off the block. This will work on, this will work on any. We haven't found any head yet that we couldn't pull. Now you can do other features. You can use just an eye bolt in the spark plug hole and try lifting the head with let's say with a cherry picker. That sometimes work if it's not too bad. And you can use if you put a piece of rope down in the spark plug holes like we talked about earlier, and then turn the engine over, you can push the head up and get it loose. But this way it pulls it all the way up. You can pull it. That's why these bolts are the length they are. That's so that we can pull the head all the way up to the plate if we need to. But right now, and you can see these tubes now have done their job keeping that bolt down through the line up with the hole. So you know, maybe check them a little bit. This one's coming off pretty good. It's not hanging up. Looks like it's about the same, coming off about the same. So you want to keep it coming up fairly straight, because of course if you get it in a bind, and you're pulling on it, you may still get it off, but it'll be harder to get up if you get it into too far of a bind. So you just keep a nice even pull. We slipped out of the hole. There we go. Okay, so make sure that all these bolts actually go down into the head. That one hung up. It didn't quite line up quite right. Looks like the rest of them are okay. And there you have it. We can just keep on going. We can pull that head right up and just lift it right off. Takes a little while to set it up, but it's well worth it, because if you start using chisels and crowbars and stuff, you'll damage the head, you'll damage the block. You can bend valves, and this way lifts it right up. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.